overload. That's what we can say that right now because of multiple online environments. In this situation, it's required for an individual to evaluate, to interpret, to ethically accept the information. That's today's contemporary scenario. And information literacy, it benefits the individual in multiple level. Some of the examples are, it definitely helps the academic learning, and it's directly linked with the professional competency, and where the employability is more competitive, the information literacy gives additional edge for an individual to secure a post, a position on that. And the larger goal, information literacy helps individuals to participate in a democratic level, regionally, nationally, or globally. So that is the broad umbrella of information literacy. We will contextualize this lecture and within the broad umbrella of media and information literacy. That's information literacy is a part and parcel of MIL concept. And currently we are in a transition time. Transition already happened. The transition happened from information scarcity to information abundance. And the transition here, due to the technological change from 1996, at least in Indian context, we got our internet in a static mode, then multiple developmental happened, and the major growth happened in India after mobile revolution. 2G, 3G and 5G kind of technology enabled the individuals to take a benefit, enormous benefit from the internet. And equally the economical affordability of handsets and affordable internet access, particularly through wireless technology, because of our lack of ICT infrastructure, that helped us to jump into the mobile wireless connectivity that is being covering close to 94% of the India's population. So that is the scenario in which we have transisted from information scarcity to abundance of information, and it's an overwhelming information process, and we are bombarded with a lot of information. And in a couple of decades back, we usually get updates through the daily newspapers. Daily newspaper has its own cycle, appears once in 24 hours. So we have to wait for next day morning for recent updates about the latest development. And there were no live broadcast of incidents. Occasional primetime news broadcast is being given to the national level, and television reach also limited. There were not much private players, so limited information outlets for a couple of generation. And there is scarcity in the means that in a 24-hour cycle, we will get a chance to update ourselves about the recent development or what information we want, are limited to a couple of incidents. Daily newspapers or daily news briefings from radio or television. That's a very few incidents. Whereas to compare that scenario with today's situation, here every minute we are being updated. News can be accessed or can be delivered to you, and continuous social media is being bombarded with the messages. You can control that. Notification you can enable or disable. So we are doing a lot with the mobile handset or computing or laptop tab to control or enable or disable information delivery. That's the situation. Transition from scarcity to abundance. That's a background information, we can say that. But here users are encountering continuous access through platforms, devices, and different set of communication context. This is a kind of different scenario we are encountering with overabundance of information. And there's a challenge here because of the plenty of information, and how to access the right information, and how to check whether this information is genuine or not, and how to interpret the information which has some sort of agenda or biasness or stereotypes or some loaded meanings and all. So that is what required. I'll tell you the reason for that. In earlier information scarcity scenario, informations are filtered, and filtration done by institutions, not by individuals. Institutions like newspapers, radio and television stations, or media houses, they have very stringent newsroom or production rules and conventions through which the informations are processed, filtered, and pass it on to society. So always the gatekeeping always happens with a very larger interest of social welfare. So misinformation, hate speech, or fake news are limited. We can't say that zero, nil, or vacuum, but it was highly filtered out, and it's the reliability on the information outlet is much higher compared to today's context because of the gatekeeping part. Whereas in today's scenario, with the social media and internet outlets, individuals are empowered to share information in any format, and that can reach nook and corner of the globe. And gatekeeping is not happening because information is not filtered by any institutions, filtered by any ethical concerns or conventions, legally or voluntarily, and not filtered those informations. So individuals are free to upload information, and that information might be genuine or misleading, loaded with the agenda. Many things happen. That here, this scenario what demands individuals need to have ability to access the right information, ability to evaluate and interpret the content in a meaningful manner. And here, because informations are delivered continuously, that is being processed and converted into knowledge and opinion, and based on which we are making a decision. And decision could be individual level, or professional level, or in the name of national interest. And it has its own responsibility and consequences. Individual level, you have to take responsibility. Professional level, you and institutions. Whereas in the national interest, whatever collective decisions are happening, that determines the course of action or nature of action for coming many years and decades. So the decision making of an individual is very crucial for multiple angle. That decision can influenced by the information what we are receiving from multiple sources. If we are not able to process it properly, if we accept all the information whatever is coming to us without evaluating critically and interpreting it in a very meaningful manner, then we are subscribing to the agenda as being given to us. So automatically, indirectly, it affects the whatever decision we are making, and ultimately the people who loaded the agenda and the information get the benefit whatever decision we are making. So this is very crucial. Information literacy benefits individuals, community, society, and the nation. And because of simple reason of having competency to evaluate the information, a small effort but brings much more benefit to the many stakeholders. So that is a challenge currently we are facing, information, handling those information in a meaningful manner. And in a contemporary scenario, information literacy extends not necessarily searching the information, but it requires a critical ethical competencies to assess and judge the information we have received. That it involves understanding the context information is being created and delivered, and what is the purpose of that information, and what consequences of that information creates by using those information. Please contextualize these scenarios with a gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is not meaningfully enforced in a contemporary scenario due to an online environment. Information could be generated with multiple contexts, multiple purposes, and it might be intended with many intended results, effects. The consequence comes after that one. And you need to do that, why this information is coming and who created that and what is the purpose. If you ask the basic questions before consuming those information, and we can filter out many unwanted consequences of information. And it's information literacy, handling the information becomes a necessity in a contemporary scenario, but that will remain with us for lifelong. It's a part of the process we have to carry out throughout our life. It's a lifelong exercise, and it's adaptive learning, and we have to adapt according to the technology changes, adapt to the techniques adopted by many people, institutions for loaded information. I'm not saying 100% whatever information we have, 100% they are loaded, or misinformation, disinformation, but substantial information are positive or negative level. We need to know about how to differentiate between positive and negative. Critical thinking is very crucial in contemporary scenario to understand the information and background, and it's become a core value of information literacy competency framework. And it's not accessing information. In today's context, we have to make meaning very worthwhile and without much consequences, and that needs to be carried out, means and creating a new meaning based on the information. Within this, plenty of informations are generated in an online platform. So that's what the crucial skill set information literacy is prescribing that. And how do we contextualize information literacy within media and information literacy broader? Initially, I mentioned that there are three broad umbrella of media and information literacy, which is considered a kind of umbrella holistic approach to empower the individuals to handle the media and information systems. Media literacy is one of the dimensions. The other two are media literacy and digital literacy, and third, the today's context, information literacy. And information literacy functions as the core pillar of MIL, media and literacy, and many institutions are promoting information literacy, including the UNESCO, which is a pioneer in promoting MIL as a holistic approach, and it integrates the information literacy as an approach of combining media, information, and civic literacy. These are the part and parcel of information literacy, which belongs to MIL. So this is a kind of linkage we have to understand between the different set of elements here. Part information is accessed, interpreted through media and platform systems. Could be the traditional legacy media or emerging established digital platform, participatory social media platforms and all. And the literacy framework addresses the power relationship shaping information production and circulation. Information, it's just not a text or an image or a video or audio. It has its own loaded meaning, but beyond that, it's a kind of powerful tool. It reflects the power relationship and how the quality of information, the nature of information, and how what the information is being it reveals, that determines the individual and institution's relationship with the power. A central minister's response to a query and an individual response to a query makes a lot of meaning, and because the minister carries a responsibility, it has a power. Similarly, a big corporate company making a statement brings a lot of effect into the society. Depends upon the nature of the statement. So that the position in which the information is being generated, individual institutions, and if that's a has a heavy loaded power structure, that automatically played out in the industry or in the digital environment. So information is very crucial here, and it reflects the multiple environment in which the information is being processed. Information literacy, that's what advocates that. We are not accessing information. We need to understand the environment in which the information is being generated and the people behind the generating those information. And what are the importance of media information literacy in a democratic setup? And the larger goal of media information literacy is to empower individuals for making them to participate. Participation in a democracy has a multiple meaning. One of the way of participation is to create a dialogue, participate in a dialogue, sharing information, opinion for a wider audience. That can happen only through media and information system. So participation through media and information system for democracy needs multiple skills and competency in order to make your meaning more meaningful, ethically, responsibly presenting your information and not violating others' rights and protecting your own privacy. So these are the integrity of participating in a larger framework through media information system. That's what advocated by the media information literacy. So that is a crucial context, and the ultimate goal of MIL or information literacy or digital literacy is to empower the individual to use the system for personal, professional level as well as benefit for the civic society. And democratic setup heavily relying on citizens' ability to evaluate information critically. Because I mentioned a couple of slides back, decision making is what is very crucial, because the democratic setup depends upon a collective decision. Could be a political level, social level, cultural level, economic, or whatever the dimension of the social level. Individual decision could be directly or indirectly involved in the many stakeholders. That makes the nature of the system, is strengthen the system. The participation is very crucial. Participation become more meaningful if large number of individuals shares their values with their intended audience. And weak literacy means the person doesn't have much skills and competency to handle the information. That increases the vulnerability to propaganda, manipulation, and other consequences of hidden agenda. Because the informations are created with multiple intentions, hidden agenda, and a purpose and context. The information is not a plain and simple. It has its own loaded meaning, and critically needs to be understood. In case we are not able to do that, as I mentioned earlier, if we accept directly, we are succumbing to propaganda, we are surrendering ourselves to manipulation, consequences. It indirectly or directly affects our decision making. That's what the people, stakeholders wanted, who creating the manipulation, who creating propaganda on other agenda loaded with the information. So this is what is being established clearly. Weak literacy creates more vulnerability to the consequences to the information that's loaded with the meaningful agenda. And information literacy supports the freedom of expression, and it helps the individuals to have informed public deliberation. More information, more authentic information, more credible information strengthen somebody's understanding about the scenario and providing a better solutions, alternative viewpoints, and sustaining the dialogue for meaningful solutions. So this is the proper the outcome of having a media information literacy popular among the society, and its benefits for democratic and civic life. And how the digital information environment is being changed, some of the features we can discuss on that. Information digital environment are shaped by speed, scale, and platform dominance. Mentioned earlier, the couple of decades back, information outlets are limited, and we get a very limited option of exposure to information updates. But now currently every second we are getting updated. The speed is enormous. The scale and the amount of information is being delivered to individuals is huge, and frequently you need to clear your mobile storage spaces to accommodate more latest information. That is the scenario currently, and it's not a one or two platform we are negotiating. And for every applications, every services, we have dedicated applications for accessing news or accessing video content or taking services from the corporates or government services or interacting with the family. For every activity, we have dedicated apps working in different platforms, and the immediate delivery is guaranteed, and quantum of information is multi-fold. So that's the scenario in which we are working on that. Traditional editorial gatekeeping is no longer functioning, or it's highly weakened, and particularly in the online and network environment, information circulates very fast with minimal verification or institutional oversight, because gatekeeping is not at all enforced through institutions, and verification is not happening in the individual level or at least in the platform level. Of course, there are many efforts are being taken by regulatory bodies, platforms, and other institutions to control and minimize the misinformation or disinformation efforts, and users are facing increased responsibility for evaluating information quality independently. That's the scenario in which we are here. Because individuals have got a power, it's not a vertical, we are more on horizontal, because everybody is equal, everybody is a consumer, everyone is a producer. We are consuming, we are producing content. And that billions of people are doing. Currently, we have close to 5 to 6 billion people in globally that are accessing internet to multiple devices, and even on average, if you put 10% of the people who are accessing internet to generating content, multiply that how much the quantum of information is created, and that is not being processed by any individuals. Algorithms are being fine-tuned, platforms are fine-tuned to automatically filtering out certain content, but a large responsibility lies with the individuals to verify the content, and there only the information literacy or ML is playing a major role. Now in network environment, the responsibilities are very heavily lying with the individuals, and individuals need to have competency and skills to handle the media and information system. So that's a scenario in which we are living, and it's information overload. What are the challenges we are facing? What's a major attention currently? And excessive information exposure overwhelms users' attention and evaluating capacity, and over the period we might lose the patience and efforts to authenticate and evaluate the content. We mentally might be come across in many contexts, but automatically we are accepting or reading, understanding the content without much effort to evaluate those context, purpose, and consequences of information. And cognitive load is overload encourages a reliance on shortcuts rather than critical reasoning. And because shortcuts, either individual level or through platform level, that filters unwanted information. But largely, we are because of overload of information, we consume a large amount of content without much critical reasoning. That is not encouraging trend, and the emotional level, it replaces the evidence-based judgment because of the overload conditions. And misinformation usually very attractive and uses very creative approach, appealing, emotional, and many times it bypasses the filtration process. Many times it bypasses our critical reasoning, and we tend to accept the information which are very popular, viral, and it depends on the many people liked it, watched it, and we tend to believe that might be more interesting one without realizing that it's a background agenda or anything. So this is a crucial aspect of information overload, and because of the overload, institutions can't handle that. Individuals' responsibility is being more relevant in the contemporary world, and the platforms in which the social media and internet platforms are functioning, they heavily started relying on algorithms because that's an automatic process. They are creating filters, they are creating rules, they are creating regulations, and through algorithm, because algorithm is a kind of program software that's being created by companies, and that works just behind the skin of your accounts and behind your timeline, that controls the information flow and what needs to be displayed for you and what needs to be highlighted for the larger sections, and it works in a very complex manner and takes care about corporates' profit and many stakeholders' interest, and then your profiling also. So it works in a very complex process. You have to overcome those echo chambers, and you have to come out and make your own decisions, and you have to filter out the unwanted information. That's what the information literacy is recommending that. So understanding algorithm, understanding how the corporate companies are managing the digital platform are very crucial, and how small changes in the algorithm that can bring multiple fold benefits to the corporates, and that benefits can be transferred to multiple stakeholders, depends upon the need and the demand from the stakeholders. And the core competency of information literacy is relying on identifying information needs. Information literacy primarily demands that an individual need to know how to frame relevant queries to address their need. Because whenever we find some problem, we need to find a solution for that. Solution always comes from multiple sources, and because we need to know from where we have to get the information in order to find the suitable solutions. So this is what the information literacy is advocating, that you need to realize your problem, you need to realize that from where you can get that relevant information, reliable information, and cross-checking those information and utilizing those information to find the solution. So this is a core necessity, skill and competency for an individual to acquire the information literacy point. And misinformation system, that is one of the main concern working within the online environment. And primarily the information literacy underpins the inclusive and participatory knowledge system. It supports democracy and sustainable development, and it's collective responsibility, and institutional oversight is not working, and building an information literate society that strengthens the democratic values. Thanks for watching this episode.